Alright guys, so today's video it's kind of nice to do because it goes back to what this channel started on, and that's gaming headsets. And more specifically, I used to cover a lot of Razer headsets, and this may be Razer's best headset yet. In fact, this could be a pair of headphones or headset that could replace everything that you're already using. And the pair that we're going to talk about is the Razer Kaira Pro PS5 headset. Now these headphones are not cheap because they do come in at 199 bucks, but like I said, it does have the ability to replace your regular gaming headset or your wireless headphones because it's being able to be used wirelessly in two different ways. Now it comes with a USB-C dongle so that it can transmit 2.4 gigahertz wirelessly, but it also has a Bluetooth connection built in, and it packs in quite a bit of features that other gaming headsets or regular headphones don't have. So we're going to talk about a lot of those features. We're going to see what all comes inside the box. We're definitely going to talk about the sound and see if it's worth the $199 price tag. So to start with, this headset specifically integrates Razer's HyperSense technology, which is basically the haptic feedback. We've seen it in some other Razer headsets, mainly the Nari Ultimate, which was really like the first one to incorporate this. But it really has come a long way, and the way that Razer does their HyperSense is it's basically like having that haptic feedback but in stereo. It really does have directional input, so if you're hit with a gunshot to the right side, that is where you feel it. Or if you're hearing footsteps off to the left side, not only does it have a subtle footstep that builds up to something stronger as it gets closer, but again, you're able to hear it from that side. So it's just not trying to respond to just all bass in general and just have it come out of both ears. It is really adding a whole other element to your gaming or watching movies because you can tell where those footsteps or those explosions are coming from. Now on the box, it does say that this headset works with a PC, a PS5, PS4, and your mobile device, but because it uses this USB-C dongle, it will also work with your Switch, but because it has Bluetooth, you can use it on your PC that way. But I do recommend using the dongle if you're going to be using it on your PC. This just allows for a more seamless integration. But there are some other things that this headphone does that makes it where you can use it for mobile gaming as well, because it does have Bluetooth built in. And oddly enough, Razer decided instead of using software on your PC to be able to EQ these, you actually have to download Razer's audio app. And it does have some already pre-built EQ settings in there. You can customize it yourself. Now I did just find using this in the amplified mode was my favorite, but also in the app, it does have a low latency mode. So if you're going to be using a Bluetooth connection for gaming, you just switch it over into that. But also in the app, it does have a do not disturb mode because this headset allows you to game using that USB-C dongle and also stay connected to your phone via Bluetooth. Now you can't listen to audio sources out of both at the same time, but if you are gaming, you do have the ability to have a phone call come in. It will pause your audio from what you're listening to be able to take that call, but being able to switch it into do not disturb mode will keep a phone call from coming in and interrupting what you're listening to or what you're playing, and that's a huge plus because you don't want the audio on your game to cut out just because somebody, especially probably a spam caller, just comes in out of nowhere. Now another trick that this headphone has up its sleeve is, of course, because it's a Razer product, it does have the RGB lighting on both ear cups, and you will need to download Razer's Chroma app on your phone to be able to control this lighting. Now I personally found myself using these headphones a lot for just listening to music connected to my phone, and I didn't want to use the Chroma lighting because it just stands out and it also is eating away at your battery. So I just went in and shut this off, but you can go within the Chroma app and just change it to whatever color you want or have it breathe and do different types of lighting effects. And again, I think it's odd that you have to do all this through your app instead of being able to do this through any software on your computer. Now, as far as the build quality and the design of the headphones themselves, I'm actually a huge fan of the way that these look. Now, it could just be that white and black mixed with some blue accents to give you that PlayStation 5 look, but it also has an aluminum look to it, which is right there where the hinges are located, and it has aluminum that goes through the headband to give you a little bit more security so it doesn't feel like it's gonna snap. And I feel like this headphone has plenty of give to it. Razer does recommend actually kind of stretching them around the box and just leaving them like that for a little bit, but I didn't notice any kind of clamping force with this headphone. I found it to be extremely comfortable. Now, one thing I do want to point out is this headphone does not fold inward, which I would have liked to have seen these do, and I would have liked to have also seen a case included. That way, if you are using this for music and using it as Bluetooth, it would just feel a little bit more portable. But the ear cups do swivel inward. The ear cups on these are also a very soft memory foam leatherette-like type material. And this is pretty much easily one of the most comfortable gaming headsets that I've tested. Now, as far as the controls and the different ways that you can use this headset, it does come with a USB-A to USB-C charging cable, but it also comes with a USB-A to USB-C adapter cable, but it doesn't come with a normal 3.5mm cable. But having that USB-C dongle is what's allowing you to use this wirelessly with your PC, your PS5, your PS4. Again, you can use it on the Nintendo Switch, and you can use it on mobile devices, which most Android devices now are using the USB-C input. So it is pretty versatile in how many different ways that you can use these. But again, I really enjoyed using these in Bluetooth mode, and that's what I kind of stuck to most of the time anyway. Now, as far as being able to control the different things and settings and all of that, on the left you have your power button, you have your volume wheel, and that is also where your mic mute button is located. Now on the right side, this is where your HyperSense button is located. This is what allows you to switch it between the different levels of haptic feedback. And then there's also a smart switch button, which is what allows you to switch these between Bluetooth mode and then that 2.4 gigahertz mode. But this is also what allows you to kind of switch between some different pre-built EQ settings. That way you don't actually have to jump into the app to be able to switch the EQ setting if you're doing something and you wish that it sounded differently. And then the only other thing is your side tone button. So it's basically your mic monitoring button. Now, if you are going to use these in Bluetooth mode, you use the power button as your main media button. And this is what allows you to play and pause your music and also skip your tracks forward and go backwards. And then of course you would just use the volume wheel to control the volume. Now, as far as the battery life itself, it's really going to depend on how you use these. Now, if you just want to use these without having the haptic feedback on and you don't want to have the RGB lighting on, you can actually get up to 50 hours of use on a single charge. And that in itself is very impressive. But really the reason that you're buying this headset is to be able to use that haptic feedback. And if you're going to use the haptic feedback and you are going to use the RGB lighting, you're really going to get closer to about 20 hours. And depending on how loud you turn these up and how much you're going to push the haptic feedback, you can get as low as 11 hours. So again, it really just kind of depends on how you intend on using these. Now, as far as the microphones on here, you do have two different ways to use these. If you are using these in Bluetooth mode, it does have its own mics built in on the ear cups, but it also comes with a detachable cardioid mic. And I do think the mics do a serviceable job, but I do feel like the cardioid mic is definitely the way to go if you're gonna be using these mainly as a gaming headset. But you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here. So here is a mic test using the Razer Kaira Pros. Now this is in Bluetooth mode, so it's using the mics that are built in on the ear cups. And I think overall it does a really good job of picking up my voice. So this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call. And so now here is the mic test with a crowd noise being played, which you can hear here. And so this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public. And so now here's the mic test while using it connected to my PC and using the cardioid mic. And as you can tell, it just picks up my voice a lot cleaner. It also has better bass tones than using this in Bluetooth mode. And so this is what it would sound like if you were to be gaming on your PS5 or your PC using this microphone. So now let's talk about the sound, and more specifically before we get into the sound, we do need to talk about the settings that I use. Now I did keep these in amplified mode because I just felt like that really brought out the most in the low end, but also in the treble to kind of counterpart the bass. And I also had my haptic feedback or HyperSense setting at medium. I felt like that was the sweet spot mixed with amplified because the way that these headphones work is they are using Razer's 50mm Triforce drivers, so it's keeping your bass, your mids, and your highs done separately, so that's keeping it from getting muddy. But when you mix that with haptic feedback, you do have to kind of set it in a way where you still don't allow the bass to just come in and just take over everything. So those were the settings that I used these in, and I felt like the bass, obviously, it's just thunderous. It's going to rattle your head if you want it to. So this is a bass head's dream headphone. Listening to pop and hip hop and metal and things like that are where these shine. You're feeling so much of that vibration and the drums. It makes you feel like you're in a live show because you're feeling the drums the way that you are. But the ability to keep that separated and allow the mids to still stand out and have a very nice upfront presence means vocalists came through clearly. Different instruments and different guitars still had a very clean tone to them. And same thing with the treble. The treble had a nice bright sound. It was very detailed. Now this isn't a harsh sounding treble because it does have a slight bit of warmth to it. And that's mainly because this headphone is kind of geared a little bit more towards bass. But I really am happy they didn't allow it to just destroy or take over everything else. And same thing with the sound stage and the sound imaging. Now if you are going to use this on the PS5, it is compatible with their 3D sound, which is giving you a much more open sound, but it's also giving you better directional audio. But just using this on other systems or using it with music, I definitely felt like I was in a large room, and I had no issue with being able to tell where sounds were coming from, or footsteps, or different people talking. So with adding that with the type of sound that you're getting, it really makes it an exciting headphone to use for gaming and movies and music and things like that. So my overall opinion is, yes, it is a pricey pair of headphones, but if you look at it, that it's pretty much the same price as the Skullcandy Crusher Evos, which is another headphone that has that haptic feedback bass. You're getting that mixed with a gaming headset where you're also able to take advantage of that haptic feedback, and you're getting some very good audio quality. Now, the only thing that I really wish they had on these headphones is I do wish that it could fold inward, and I do wish that it came with a traveling case. That way I feel a little bit better with taking it with me on the go, especially because I've been using this as a Bluetooth headphone. And I do wish that it gave you the ability to hear your gaming audio mixed with music at the same time. If you're just playing something casually and you just kind of want to hear music in the background, I wish that it just gave you the ability to do that. But outside of that, this is an excellent pair of headphones. It's an excellent gaming headset, and I just had a blast using these. And I think at the $200 price tag, I think it's a headphone definitely worth checking out. But with most Razer products, you know, this is probably gonna go on sale at some point, and it might even go all the way down to $150. And I think at that price point, especially if you're a bass head, this would definitely be one you're gonna wanna check out. But guys, that's my video on the Razer Kaira Pro PS5 headset. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.